A good Erev Shabbos, everyone. Erev Shabbos, Parshas Tzav, Shushan Purim. Beautiful day. My Purim was incredible. Many people had beautiful Purims. I want to share an idea that I think is something to think about Metzi Purim. And as we're about to go into Pesach, and we're about to go through big times, big things. I heard a story from my brother-in-law, which is an incredible story. That there was, I believe in the 70s, there was a thing that was going on here in Israel about abortions and about passing a certain abortion law. And the Rabbanim in Eretz Yisrael were very concerned about this and decided to take a delegation to go in to speak to a certain fellow. Last name was Tamir. They went to go in to visit him and to speak to him. He had a great influence on this law. And they decided to choose as their spokesperson amongst all of the Rabbanim a Rabbi Levine, who was the son of Rabbi Levine, who was the Tzaddik of Jerusalem. There's a book called the Tzaddik in Our Time. It was written about Rabbi Levine. He was legendary in the kind of person that he was, and his son was also a legendary person. And Rabbi Fall said that he would go, but he would only go provided that they would fast for a day, and then he would go. So he went to this meeting, and at the meeting, he looks at this fellow and he says, I want to tell you a story. He says, it happened once to my father, that a couple came to my father, and the woman said that she's pregnant. She cannot have this child. They are impoverished. They are living in abject poverty. And there was no way that she can go through with this birth. And she asked Rabbi Levine to give her a heter to terminate the pregnancy. And Rabbi, with tears in his eyes, said to her, I can't. It's not permissible. But what I can do is I can promise you that I will take care of that child for the first 5 years of his life. I'll provide everything the child needs. You come to me, and we will come up with the money for everything that you need for that child. And Kachava, the woman, had a child. And Rabbi Levine paid for the first 5 years, paid for everything. And then eventually the family was able to get themselves straight, and they took it over. Rabbi Fall looks at this minister, this fellow, and he says to him, that was your mother. The guy doesn't know what to do. That he's like falling apart. So he says to them, I hear you. You have to give me a day. You have to let me think about this. And when he left, he called his mother. And he asked his mother, is this true? And his mother said, yeah, it's true. And because of this, he couldn't go through with passing this law, and Baruch Hashem, it never got passed. So people turned to Rabbi Fall, and they said to Rabbi Fall, if you knew this, and you knew what the impact of this story was, I mean, the story is incredible. It's one of these jaw-dropping stories. You knew the guy himself was going to be thrown off his game. Why did you need all of us to fast? So he said, because if we didn't fast, if we didn't do something specific, then what would have happened is that it could have gone in one ear and out the other. Because no matter how fantastic and huge and amazing that thing was, it might make an impression. But unless there was something to keep that impression inside, to make sure that it didn't just dissipate and it didn't just disappear, we needed siyata d'shmaya, we needed to have help from heaven. When I heard the story, I said to myself, you know what, that's a pretty amazing thing, but that's really life in general. We hear incredible things, like our jaws drop, it's, wow, amazing, amazing, amazing. And we say, it's a life changer. Whew. But then time keeps on ticking. And it just dissipates. It's like smoke. It's like air. and the effect that it had and the feeling that we had, it just goes. And we've spoken about this many, many times, but at the end of the day, unless you do something with it right away, so then it's a wasted experience. It's an experience that just goes. We had amazing Purim. I had thoughts on Purim that I haven't had in a long time. I had feelings, singing, dancing, generating this feeling of Avas Hashem, of love of God, love of mitzvahs, of a desire to go closer to Him. But if all I leave that as a memory of a wonderful Purim, then it's nothing more than just a memory of a wonderful Purim. But if I take some of those things that I experienced, then I do something with them. Some of those hachlatos, some of those decisions, some of those hargoshos, some of those feelings that I had of tshuva and change and lifting myself up a little bit. If I take some of those and I put them into practice, many of them are not huge. They're just feelings. You're singing a song and you think of something and you're saying, wow, I could do more of this. If I take some of those feelings and just turn them into something real and practical, then my Purim would have been an amazing Purim. But it's only if we do something to it, because if we do nothing, if we don't grab onto it, then it's just in one ear and out the other. But if we hold on to it, we do something. We don't necessarily have to fast. But we daven to Hashem for strength, to give us the strength to be able to turn these things into something practical and to do something with them, so that everything that I was experiencing and going through on Purim becomes something real in my life, so then it can have an amazing effect. And then my Purim was an amazing Purim. I think this is true. We're going into Pesach and we're talking about Chayiv. The person is obligated. As if you left Egypt, and we talk about the whole concept that it really means that a person has to see themselves as if they've walked out of their own personal Mitzrayim, the thing that holds them down in this world, that holds them back from becoming great. And that it's great to experience that, but unless we do something with it, then it's not going anywhere. I think that that's where we have to keep our heads right now. That we're going through stuff. We're going through feelings. We're going through emotions. We're watching things. But we got to turn it into actions. We got to bring it out and make it something. And when we do that, so then it's something that can last and can really be incredible, because it'll mean that we've changed, that we've gone through something, and that we've come out the other side as better people. And that's really ultimately what life is all about. I think that in order to be able to say we had a great Purim, we have to have a great Shushan Purim and a great 17th of Adar and 18th of Adar and 19th of Adar. And then our Purim will have been a great, amazing Purim. So my bracha to all of us is that we should have a great Shushan Purim. We should have a great Shabbos, Parshas Tzav. And we should figure out how to take some of that inspiration and use that to uplift and to enhance our lives. Have a beautiful Shabbos.